Let me start this video with a question that might bother part of the fan base. Who was the most important Philadelphia Eagles player in winning that last Super Bowl who did not play the quarterback position? And now, a second question, even more provocative. What if that same player, after a season many considered disappointing, is precisely the name being pointed to as the top most valuable player candidate on the entire roster for the 2026 season? Once you take the quarterback out of the equation, it sounds contradictory, doesn't it? A guy whose production dropped being placed as the favorite for MVP. But when you pop the hood and look at the numbers underneath, that apparent contradiction turns into one of the most logical bets in the entire league. And that is exactly what I am going to break down in this video. Why his drop-off in 2025 was far less frightening than the headline suggests. What exactly changed in the Eagles' offense that could hand him back his status as a dominant force, and why a nationally respected outlet is putting its chips on this comeback. If you are a die-hard Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because the season is coming, and the next few weeks are going to decide whether this bet is brilliant or naive. Here is the deal. The official National Football League website published a list picking one most valuable player candidate who was not a quarterback for every franchise in the National Football Conference in 2026. And when it was Philadelphia's turn, the name they chose was not one of the defensive stars who carried this team last season. It was not one of the elite receivers. It was the running back. It was Saquon Barkley. The same Barkley that plenty of people spent the entire winter saying had been a disappointment. And that is where the story gets truly interesting. Let us first face the elephant in the room, because there is no point running from it. Yes, there was a drop-off. A lot has been said about the decline in the Eagles' offensive output last season, and one of the least discussed aspects was precisely the reduction in Barkley's explosive plays. And look, it is natural to see some regression after a 2,000-yard season. Nobody sustains that forever. But the numbers behind the drop are real. Barkley lost roughly 1.7 yards per carry, plummeting from an average of 5.8 yards in 2024 to 4.1 yards in 2025. And there is one data point that hurts even more when you look at it up close. Last season, Barkley recorded only 4 carries of more than 20 yards the entire year. 4. To give you a sense of the size of that drop, that is the exact same number of long runs that 2 quarterbacks had over that same span. An elite running back tying quarterbacks in explosive run plays is the kind of statistic that sets off an alarm. The explosiveness, that trait that defined the Barkley of the championship season, simply evaporated. But now comes the part almost nobody is telling correctly. Because when you separate the disappointment from the statistical reality, you realize that the 2025 season was, in fact, historically solid by any standard other than the superhuman year before it. Barkley finished the season with 280 carries for 1,140 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns on the ground. And as a receiver, he still added 37 receptions for 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is not the season of a finished player. That is the season of a full-fledged starter who only suffers when compared to himself. And there is a fundamental detail hidden inside those numbers. The ability to break tackles did not disappear. Barkley forced 52 missed tackles as a runner last season, and he maintained an average of 2.7 yards after contact per carry. Translating from the language of statistics into plain English, the engine is still there. The power between the tackles is still there. What was missing was open space, the whole field play, that burst of 60 or 70 yards that became his signature in 2024. And open space, my friend, depends far more on the system and the offensive line than on the running back's legs. And this is where the story turns. Change is on the way for absolutely everyone in this offense, and the reason has a name: Sean Mannion, the new offensive coordinator. And that changes everything about how Barkley is going to be used. Mannion has worked in offensive schemes that use the quarterback under center in a variety of formations, something that directly affects the running back position. And Barkley himself has already signaled that he sees a huge advantage in this. According to him, playing with the quarterback under center, the running back can see the field a little better. He is not blind when the ball arrives. In his words, there are a lot of unique things you can do in that scheme, and he is looking forward to it, predicting it will probably be the best he has ever played from under center in his career. Notice the level of obsession this player has, because it matters to the bet. Every offseason, Barkley studies film of running backs across the entire league looking for what he can add to his own game. This offseason, To prepare for the possible scheme change, he personally reached out to Todd Gurley, a former National Football League running back and two-time All-Pro he has been a fan of since childhood. He made direct contact to learn how Gurley attacked the league's defenses. That is not the behavior of a declining player who has made peace with his drop-off. That is the behavior of someone hunting the next step up, and there is more fuel for the optimism. The Eagles' offensive line is trending toward returning healthier than it was last year, and anyone who understands football knows that explosive running starts on the line, not with the running back. Add to that a clue about the new coordinator's philosophy. Little is known in detail about Mannion's plans, but if he draws inspiration from his former boss in Green Bay, you can expect the Eagles to lean hard on the ground game. Matt LaFleur's team ran the ball on the 5th highest percentage of plays in the entire league last season. If Philadelphia follows that path, Barkley's volume could explode. And volume, for a running back of this caliber, is synonymous with an MVP opportunity. Think about the complete picture taking shape. A healthier offensive line, a new scheme with more outside zone and under-center plays that give the runner a view of the field, a philosophy that promises to prioritize the run, and an obsessed player who spent the offseason studying with a two-time All-Pro to reinvent his own game. When The Athletic broke down the position, it put the right question on the table. Can Barkley repeat the historic feat inside a reworked system that will use more outside zone plays? The answer to that question is literally the Eagles' entire season. Now, to be fair and transparent, it is essential to put the counterpoints on the table with the same honesty. First, MVP for a running back is extremely rare. The league is dominated by quarterbacks when it comes to that individual award, and betting on a runner is always swimming against the historical current. Barkley could have the best season at the position and still be left out of the conversation because of some quarterback exploding with passing numbers. Second, there is a touchdown thief inside his own team, and his name is Jalen Hurts. The tush-push and the quarterback runs at the goal line take direct touchdowns out of Barkley's hands, and touchdowns are MVP currency. A running back who does not score near the end zone has his individual ceiling capped, no matter how good the yardage numbers are. Third, the very nature of regression. No running back in league history has ever repeated the 2,000-yard feat twice, and there is a reason for that. Wear and tear, age, bad luck, defenses adjusting. Barkley has turned 29 years old, and running backs in that age range historically start showing signs. Betting on explosiveness again might be betting against the biological clock of the most punished position in the sport. And fourth, the most uncomfortable point. What if the 2025 drop-off was not only a lack of space? What if part of it was the natural beginning of decline? It is a real possibility, and nobody can prove otherwise until the ball is snapped. The line between a season of bad luck and the first chapter of a downturn is far thinner than the fan base likes to admit. With a running back coming off a season considered disappointing, but full of signs that the engine is still intact, with a new offensive scheme that seems designed to set him free, and with all the historical weight of the position working against him, do you believe Saquon Barkley finishes 2026 in the MVP conversation? Or do you think that magical 2,000-yard season was a lightning strike that does not hit the same place twice? Leave your opinion in the comments. Do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be back later to update you with the latest Eagles news.